How to identify your consulting niche. Coming up on Bootstrap MD. Hey guys, this is Dr. Mike Wiming. I'm the founder of Bootstrap MD. We help entrepreneurial physicians spark their physician life. And we're going to continue our series about how to become a physician consultant. In past videos, I talked about how becoming a physician consultant allowed me to leave corporate medicine, go out on my own, and develop an income from living at home as a consultant. Now, what I want to talk about on this episode is physician consulting and deciding, well, what kind of niche should I go into? There's a whole bunch of different markets. Now, the internet has allowed us to reach people from around the world where we're able to get paid to share our expertise, which isn't always the case, as a doctor. And now it's not just about working for another business. You can be able to become your own boss and you can work for yourselves. There's so many different niche markets to go into. What's the best way to decide which way to go into? So what I want to leave you today is 7 questions you need to ask yourself on how to identify becoming a physician consultant and deciding what niche to go into. Number 1, do I have existing knowledge in this niche? Now, if you're a physician, you're most likely going to be focusing on health. That's understandable. It's what you spend a lot of money doing. It's what you know. But that's not always the case. It can be about anything that you have knowledge in, that you have expertise in, that you feel that other people are going to pay you money for that. For example, let's say you're into real estate on the side and you know all about flipping houses. That could be a great market that you can go into. Maybe you're a chef and you enjoy that on the side. I know a physician who kind of branded himself as a nutrition expert. He went to cooking school and now he's got courses and now he teaches others just about his cooking. Now, let's just focus on medicine. Obviously, if you're a specialist, you're going to focus onto that market. Is that something that you can translate? Now we're going away from just doctor to patient. This is now doctors sharing it to businesses. Let's say, for example, you're involved in occupational medicine. Can you sell your niche market in selling, let's say, workplace wellness programs to businesses? There are others who are out there and who are in this type of area that could be your expertise for you. It has to be something that you know like the back of your hand, and it's kind of one of those things where a lot of times we kind of take for granted how our knowledge is. And like, for example, one of the niche that I went into was online marketing. I knew all about advertising websites. I knew all about, at that time, pay-per-click advertising. I knew search engine optimization. It's kind of what I learned as my background in the tech industry. And I just shared that information with others. And that allowed me to focus on that market as the niche that I decided to go into at that time. Number 2, do I enjoy working in this niche market? As physicians, we went into medicine because we wanted to help people, or it could be some other questions that you went into for. Maybe you're in surgery and you love about the anatomy and seeing people who've got a problem, and for a few hours or longer than that, you're able to go in and dissect the problem and find out the problem and then provide the solution there, whatever that is. And it's because of all the other things that we get in medicine. Maybe it's the EMRs, the coding, the declining reimbursements, the paperwork that's involved that we don't like. The great thing about becoming a consultant is you get to decide not only what niche to go into, you get to decide to get paid because you enjoy that. For my market, I love focusing on websites, and I enjoyed search engine optimization, and I enjoyed just getting my name and brand out there and using all the technology. I love that. That's why I focus on medical informatics in my medical school, because I loved computers. I was a nerd about that stuff. So it kind of goes without saying, the market that you need to go into, you need to feel like when you wake up in the morning, you're ready to go, because that's the great thing about consulting is it doesn't feel like work. You could get paid or you can not get paid and still talk about it. You won't mind going to speaking in front of groups about that particular subject or that particular niche. You have the freedom to decide what niche you're going to go to. And really, money is kind of like the byproduct of it. It's really the enjoyment that you have by being in that niche market. Do you like working with the people in your niche market? This is important, and it kind of goes along with our last question that we asked ourselves. Do I enjoy being into that market? Because you're going to be working with these folks. Your target market, whether it is businesses, whether it's individuals, whether it's a certain demographic, you need to enjoy working with those people. In my consulting business, I work with doctors because I love working with doctors, and I have a camaraderie with doctors. But for others, it may be something different. If you like working with moms and you're a mom or whoever you are, that can be your niche market. Again, the internet allows us to meet people with different interests and different demographics and all around the world, and allows us to, you can develop a business by just focusing on just those specific individuals. Who would have thought that there are career consultants that just focus on physicians as second careers? Nobody would have even thought about that 20 or 30 years ago. The internet allows us to reach those people, and you have to enjoy working with these type of people. Again, I use that morning test. Am I going to wake up refreshed and that I'm going to be talking with a potential client or a prospect or a client that I have already? And once it starts not being fun, that's kind of one of my definitions about a business I want to go into. It's got to be fun to go into. That's when you need to start looking about a different career. Not saying that everything is roses all the time. You're always going to run into that one client that you may be butting heads with, or you're just not connecting. But in general, you need to decide who you want to work with. I worked with a lot of businesses back in the day, in hospitals and such like that, and I found it very difficult to interact with someone who's like in a hospital administrator versus someone who has their own clinic. And again, just in my case, when I'm working with a hospital administrator, they were not the sole decider on decisions that needed to be made. They would have to, another boss they had to check into. They'd have to be, any type of decisions had to be decided by a committee, and that can be very difficult to get around. But I've had clients who love working with hospitals, and that's what they enjoy. Again, you get to decide who you want to work with, but this is an important question that you need to ask for yourself. Number 4, are there other consultants in this particular niche? Now, let's be real. We're doing this because, hey, this is a secret, but we're doing this because we want to make money, right? There's nothing wrong with that, just saying the M word every now and then, because you're doing this because you want to provide for your family. You're developing a business. You have bills that need to be paid. You need to keep the lights on, and you're going to be doing this. Although I said that you need to have for fun, it's also got to be profitable for you to go into this venture, right? So it's very difficult to go into a market where you're the pioneer, you're the trailblazer, you're going into something. If you're going on and you're looking into Google and just seeing, are there other consultants in this area? You may love underwater basket weaving, right? And you are the underwater basket weaving consultant, and you want to share your knowledge with your basket weaving skills in the Pacific Ocean. And you go on, you can't find anybody talking about that market. Don't think of yourselves as, hey, this is a ripe market, everything is for the taking here. Probably there's a reason you're not finding a lot of people in this, is because there's no money into it. There's nobody who is paying for this. There is not enough pain that they need to find solutions for to hire a consultant to do this. You want to find areas where there are other people, there are other consultants in that arena, because that means that there is money to be made. There are people that are paying for this service, and they're looking for help, and they're going to look for people who can help them with this problem. So some might think the other way, that, well, doesn't it introduce competition? Yeah, it could, depending on the market that you're going to go into, you don't want to be fine-tuned where, let's say, I just want to be a doctor who helps doctors become more productive in their practice, and I'm just going to focus in my town of Chattanooga, Tennessee. That there might not be enough of that. And let's say you're going to focus just on thoracic surgeons, right? There's only a limited amount. You need to be focusing, past that. And maybe you find out that just working with thoracic surgeons is enough, and you go to the United States. Maybe you need to look at all physicians, or maybe expand that even more, all healthcare professionals, or just more business people in general. Maybe you just don't need to focus on one specific area. But again, identify the target market. You got to find at least a few people in that arena for your consulting niche to really make it work. Number 5, do I have an unfair advantage in this niche? So what I mean by that, every successful business needs to have some type of barrier to entry. As physicians, only physicians can open a medical practice in my state of California. Or they at least need to be a 51% partner if they're going to open up a practice or clinic where medicine is being practiced. So that is a barrier to entry. Not everybody is going to be opening up a vein surgery clinic, right? So there's only so amount of people can do that. When you have an unfair advantage, you need to identify these types of barriers to entry. If you want to start up a consulting practice that just deals with physician burnout, you're going to have a harder time if you're not a physician. You also might have a hard time if you never experienced that before. Sure, you can read about it in a book, but someone is going to pay money and believe that you can provide the solution if you actually have gone through it yourself. Now, again, there's always circumstances in there, right? You can be an OBGYN and still be a male, right? There are some things that you can still overcome, but the best bang for the buck is, and the road to success is finding these barriers to entry and then having some type of unfair advantage. And that can come in a whole bunch of different modalities. Maybe you have a great networking connection. Let's say you are an expert in developing EMR and you've got connections at Cerner, at Epic, and you can tap into those folks. Maybe you are focusing on developing a more effective, productive practice because you've earned expertise in ICD-10 codes, and you've got some connections in Medicare, for that. Again, you have your expertise, only you have that specialized knowledge that you have experienced. You have your own specific experiences. In marketing, they call it a USP. USP stands for your unique selling proposition. What makes a client or prospective client decide to use you rather than someone else? It could be your education, your training, the degrees that you have, your own knowledge. You've done this 5,000 times rather than someone who's new. Whatever that is, you need to identify what it is, and it's going to help you become more successful. Number 6, is this niche evergreen? Now, what I mean by evergreen is one of my favorite words. Evergreen means this is a niche that's going to exist in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. Just think of the unlucky individuals who their niche was solving the Y2K virus. Remember that? Back in the day? I was involved in that. I was working at a hospital. We were all concerned about working in Y2K, and of course they put me on call that night on January 1st, 2000. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Computers were going to be crashing. We didn't know what was going to happen. But let's say you were an expert on that. Then 2000 comes around. It's January 2, 2000. What are you going to do? That niche died. Obviously, you want to be able to pivot. That's another one of my favorite words. And that Y2K, maybe they got involved in IT or something like that. But you need to focus on, is this something where there's a problem that people are going to have a solution again and again? They're going to ask you for a solution again and again and again. That is an evergreen niche. You want to make sure that you're still in business 10, 20, 30 years from now, if that's your goal. And you want to make sure that there is always potential clients that are going to come up to pay for your service and your knowledge. And then the seventh and final question is this consulting niche, is it scalable? And this is really an optional question. When you're starting out a consulting business, you're doing all the work, right? You're going to be talking with the prospective clients. You're going to be developing the work and executing on that work. When it comes time, you get really successful, you're going to hit a wall. You're going to hit a limit on what you can do. In my own business, if I didn't have the resources to scale, I wouldn't probably be here. At one time, we had over 100 clients, and this is a niche where we were developing website properties for different practices around the country. And obviously, I couldn't do it all myself. So I had to develop and hire people to talk with the clients, to develop the work that they needed, to make sure that they had an accountability manager that was answering their questions. And that all takes time, that all takes money. But if you're in a niche where you're the only one who could provide the solution to that, just be aware you're going to hit that limit and you can't grow from that. Because again, you only have 24 hours out of the day, 365 days out of the year for you to work. And one of the benefits by having a consulting business is you want to be able to have a lifestyle, especially becoming an independent physician consultant. So, if you're comfortable with that and you understand that there's limits, then you don't have any problem. But if you're looking to grow and eventually maybe sell that business, you want to show that you've got scalability. All right, I hope you got something out of it, the 7 questions you need to ask yourself to have a successful consulting niche. If you want to go into this a little bit deeper and really get started on physician consulting, I offer a free online training. It's called How to Become a High-Paid, In-Demand Physician Consultant. And there's a link somewhere on this video or maybe below, wherever you're watching this video, that'll take you right there. You can access it, and it's on demand, so you can get started right away. Again, this is Dr. Mike with Bootstrap MD. I wish you the best in your entrepreneurial career, and as always, keep moving forward.